Okay, well, Ashley, tell me about you. Tell the world who you are.
All right. Well, my name is Ashley Dickson, and I have been working alongside technology for the past 10 years. I've been at Nashville Software School for 8 years. And prior to that, I did almost 3 years in recruiting, both on the agency and corporate side. So while I was recruiting, I got the opportunity to learn what interviewers really look for and interviewing juniors in particular. I actually started volunteering for Nashville Software School and doing a recruiter talk for them. And then I just loved the atmosphere so much that I was like, I want to work there. So I ended up working here full time, and I haven't left since. So I am the manager of the career development department, which basically my job is to help people get a job, to have the tools for themselves, and to help introduce them to employers. Everything under the umbrella after graduation. And we also work with them throughout the process of like resumes, LinkedIn, everything like that.
You've obviously spent 8 years helping these juniors find jobs. The job market is probably worse than it's been in the entire 8 years that you've been in it. What do you see?
100%.
Yeah. What do you see that these juniors are doing that is the most wrong thing, the biggest oof?
I mean, I can't. I've got to give like the opposite of like what's the one thing the grad could be doing. And I have to say like that's networking. And I guess on the flip side, I'll get students that are saying they're doing so much on their job search, and I've applied to 100 companies in 1 week and I haven't heard back. And I'm like, okay, well, who are you networking with? And it's always, oh, I'm not networking. I'm just applying. That's just not the way to applications anymore. That's not the way to get noticed. That's not the way to get hired. If you are not networking in this market, you will not be successful.
It's interesting to say that because I've had some people who tell me like they're doing a hybrid, they're doing only applications. I personally, from the people that I teach, I tell them don't even apply personally. And I wonder if you're of the same mindset, like, is it worth applying in the market, especially as a junior or even other people that aren't juniors or higher up?
I mean, honestly, the only reason I would tell someone to do an application is because if you do an application and then you network and reach out to someone at that company, they're going to need your application on file for HR purposes to move forward. But that application is not getting you the interview. Not in the day and age that we live in.
Yeah, 100%. I usually tell them, like, you need to make a connection. You need to talk to people and treat them like a human being. Surprise. And then eventually you get to the point where it's, hey, I'd like to apply or whatever, and you actually have a good relationship with them. It's, okay, I need you to go online and apply, or send me your resume. I'll send it in for you is usually one of two that I see. I mean, it's so funny, too, because like the companies I've worked with and a number of others, if I refer you to my company, you end up being there and you stay for longer than 6 months is usually the number, I get a bonus. I get a bonus for you being there. People have incentive to help you in your job hunt. They genuinely do.
They do. But on the flip side of that, they're not going to help someone that they can't vouch for. Yes. As much as I want to recommend anyone, if you're just recommending every single person that's in your DMs on LinkedIn, then one, the company will stop trusting your opinion and valuing it because you're not vetting these people for them. And two, it just makes them look bad if you're not good at your job. So people want to make sure that they can bet on you before doing that. But it is mutually beneficial for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of, I feel like people in the job hunt have this weird mentality of, oh, everyone's doing me a favor. But really, like, there's a lot of reasons to, like, for a company to give you a job. Like, that's like the biggest one that I can think of is people end up going into these interviews like, oh, you're doing me a favor by giving me a paycheck. It's like, dude, you're gonna work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, give or take. Whatever money they're paying you, you are getting to them in return as well. Like, if they're paying you 60 grand a year, they're gonna be making 80 grand or something, right?
1000%.
Right. But it is a two-way street. Right. They are making money off of you. Like, it is not just like could you please give me a job?
Yeah. And honestly, when it comes to like networking and what the importance of this, I really want to give a shout out to a buddy of mine, Spin Man over at Vaco. He's been in the recruiting industry for a really long time, and I had lunch with him a few weeks ago, and like he really broke it down for me of what's going on the flip side of things. Of companies are saying, hey, it would make life easy if we had AI write this job description. And then candidates are saying, it would make life really easy if I had AI write my resume, my application. So we used to have a world where 200 people would apply and 10 people would be an exact match. Now we live in a world 200 people apply and they're all exact matches. So it's too much clutter with the applications. You can't even trust what's on the piece of paper. Vetting through that, it's too much work. It's more work. Making things easier on one side has made things so much harder on the recruiting side. So really, unless you're getting around the application, that like the pile of resumes, you're never going to be seen.
It's wild too, because you see like, oh, like some, a company will put out a job app and like 1,000 people immediately apply.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh man, like they're going to get the best of the best in that job.
No.
Because they have 1,000 people. Wrong. Completely. And I had this misconception for a while. That's just wrong. It's completely wrong because there's so many people who may have the soft skills to get through some of the crap of an earlier interview and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh man, like they get in and it's like, all right, well, I'm getting the paycheck. It's way harder to fire me than it is to, figure out how they can help and all these other things. So yeah, I mean, it's if you can show that you're the diamond in the rough, like you are going to get that job as long as you are talking to people and not just randomly applying. So that was like a wild thing for me to understand.
100%. I think what companies want the most right now is passion about what you're doing, excitement for what the company does, and wanting to be there. If you can showcase those things, then you're probably going to be a good fit for their environment and their team. If you want to be there, if you're excited to do what they're doing, if you're just applying to the job because you're like, I need a paycheck, that shows. I mean, it's very obvious. So really being able to convey your passion, that's why I always say when you are applying to jobs, start to apply to like set the bar so high. Look for things in your room. Look for things that you use every day, things that you're so passionate about. I love this company. I love my Dyson Airwrap. I am going to go to bat for that. I want to work for Dyson, and stuff like that. You really want to look for stuff that you feel strongly about, because in an interview, you will convey that. And that's what they want. They want people that believe in what they're doing because they believe. That's why they're there.
It's funny too, because again, in Code Campfire, we do a lot with, I see all sorts of perspectives, but the one that's kind of baffled me is someone's like, I'm just another number on paper for them. Yeah. I'm just another number. But that's not, I mean, I'm sure there are some companies like that, and I'm sure those companies aren't doing very well. All of the recruiters that I've reached out to ever since starting this journey has been, what are the main questions that you ask in every interview and why? And almost every single time, one of the questions they ask is something along the lines of, what are you doing in your free time? What's the last thing you did? And they can tell right then and there, how passionate are you? That's their reasoning for asking it, not, oh, like, is he saying it? No. Are you passionate? Do you give a crap about what you're doing? Or are you just doing it for a paycheck? And there's plenty of people who just do it for the paycheck.
There is. I would hate to set the bar so high that you have to, in all of your free time, like be a coder. Yeah. And you can't say that you enjoy hiking and traveling or, seeing the world or having other hobbies like four-wheeling or I don't know, whatever people do. I don't know. I'm not fun. But so I would hate for people to say that, but I do think through what you're passionate about, people can learn a lot about your personality and your drive and your willing, like if your hobby shows like a willingness to continue to learn, that's a skill that they need.
I don't know. I think you were the one that taught me this actually, but, and I feel like I knew it before, but you really put it into frame for me, which was like, we have one guy in Code Campfire who is a barber. We have another guy who has been an automotive technician for 10 years. I go down a list. We have all sorts of people. And one of them I was talking to, and they said, oh, well, I have 5 years of experience doing food and being a waitress and all these other things. How does that help me in a corporate environment? I'm like, great. You have an abundance of experience in the food industry, communicating from point A to point B, being able to, when somebody tells you like, I want this way, and they don't use the right terminology, but you have to figure out what they mean and then communicate it to the chef, and it's high pace and it's fast and people are upset and people are going to yell at you, all sorts of stuff. Like, not that happens a lot in development, but
Yeah. I love using the restaurant world as an example because I feel like there's like some really clear terminology that you can kind of cross over. And I always say like the equivalent of being like a waiter and having to communicate with the front of the house and the back of the house. Like, is that not front end and back end? Like, you have to be able to communicate to both teams because both teams need to be on board for someone to be happy. If you're not communicating with the front of the house, you're probably getting the seating of the tables is not proper. If you're not communicating with the back of the house, the food order is not proper. So cross team communication is so important. Like, especially with juniors that are coming in out of a previous career. And when I say previous careers, have you had a job before? I'm not saying like you have to have like some corporate career where you went to and wore a suit every day. Everything is a career. If you've maintained a life skill, if you acquired skills and you use them daily, that's a career. And in that, that is like the number one thing that employers are looking for. If everybody graduates from the same program with the same skill set, cool, everyone has the same skill set. It's those soft skills that are going to set people apart for the opportunities. And like somebody who's a barber, you're responsible for your reputation, having a good communication with your customers. And if not, then people are not going to get referred to you, and you will make no money if people aren't getting referred to you. So you have to maintain a good reputation. You have to be able to translate what the customer wants to the terminology of what the barber wants. I know my mom is a hairdresser, and people bring in pictures and she's like, no, that's not balayage. That's not what you want. What you're wanting is
you are not Chris Pratt. You can't.
Yes,
I can't make you Chris Pratt.
Exactly. So being able to translate and being a liaison between the professional terminology and, what the client wants. There's so many skills that you're doing your own accounting. You're running your own books. There's so many skills that you're using that can translate into tech. I've literally never been stumped. And there is ones that I'm like, okay, I pulled that one out of the hat. But if any person ever has a job and they're like, I had no skills that I learned from this that can transfer into tech, message me, DM me, challenge me. I promise you have skills. There is no way you don't.
What's wild to me about that, because you're completely right. I've met so many people who are just like, I don't have any skill. I'm like, dude, you have no earthly idea how overqualified you are for this, let alone any other position, right? But I had a buddy that I was mentoring for a while, and I felt bad. Like, I think he was 17 when I met him. He just turned 18. Met him on Xbox. Like, it was absolutely crazy. But he was telling me about all the stuff he's gonna do and asking me about, basically just telling me all he's going to do. And I kept quiet, right? Like, I don't know this dude. He's just telling me stuff. And at the end of it, he goes, what do you think? I was like, you want my honest opinion? He's like, yeah. I was like, I don't think you should do any of that. And 2 weeks later, I told him, I was like, I think you should go to boot camp like I did because it worked. But 2 weeks later, this guy calls me. I gave him my number. I hadn't heard from him in 2 weeks. He goes, hey, man, I'm looking at this boot camp and this boot camp. What do you think? I'm like, hold up. 17-year-old from Xbox is calling me back. You know how many people I've like given my number? I'm like, give me a call whenever you get to the next.
Yeah.
They never call back. Okay. But this guy, over 2 years, it ended up taking him 2 years to get a job. But the reason why it took him 2 years to get a job is because he was getting so discouraged by the job hunt. Even when the job hunt was good, he was younger. Yeah. And he wasn't great at interviewing.
That young is one of the.
It is hard. It is hard. But he did some stuff like electrical work. He did some stuff with a number of other things. And after about 2 years again and out of these different random jobs, I ended up getting him an interview with this other company, and they had a client who was 15 minutes from his house. He lives in Texas. 15 minutes from his house, needed somebody to do QA, which I had been teaching him on, needed somebody who had electrical work, which he had experience in, and a number of other. It was like the perfect fit. And my point in saying this is, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying, is you have a specific skill set that almost no one else has. Like, how many? You
can be a company's unicorn, and you have no idea.
Yes, 100%. Like, you should utilize those things. And even looking at his resume, I just remember I wanted to strangle this dude, because I was like, he was going to these interviews and he was telling me about how he had all of these different jobs and whatnot, and he had just had like a general idea of like what he had done. But I found out like, no, like, dude, you're communicating from 3 different clients together to make an app that works against all 3 of them. Like, you're not mentioning that. You're not talking about how hard that is to make sure that you not only understand their needs, but then collaborate it into one app
Yeah.
to make sure it works for all 3. That's insanity. That's a lot.
I mean, that's happened so many times throughout working at NSS. I've seen previous vet techs get jobs at a veterinary application.
Yes.
I've seen previous people working in healthcare getting hired at healthcare companies because that's a leg up. They know the business. They know how systems are supposed to operate. They know how a dashboard should be set up. I've seen previous insurance agents get hired at insurance companies on the technical side. And I've seen a cancer survivor get hired at Sierra Canyon, which was so awesome because they just knew like life experience. So, I mean,
Wow.
your life experience and your work experience, utilizing that to find the right job is like, it can give you that leg up. So that should always be an avenue that you go. And I know some people are like running from an industry. They're like, I don't want to work in healthcare anymore. You might just not want to work with patients. That might be what you're running from. Maybe that is the emotionally draining part. On the technical side, thinking about like, you might not have to feel that kind of drain, but you have that knowledge, and getting in the door that way is like top tier, highly recommend.
Funnily enough, I used to work at State Farm. I was licensed in life, health, property, and casualty. I wanted nothing to do with State Farm after I left. Glad I did it, learned a lot, but man, like, no part of me wanted to do anything with insurance ever again. But I'm like 90% sure that's why I got my first job out of tech. Was I remember the CEO used to work at HCA, and the first thing he asked me in the interview was, "Oh, I used to do insurance. Tell me what you learned." I said, "What did I not learn? What do you want to know?" And he laughed. He was like, "Oh man, like, So we spent the first 10 minutes talking about what I did in the past, but I knew going into it that I was not going to, in any way, shape, or form, be on insurance. Now, I did work on healthcare projects, but completely different job, and I love one and I don't love the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, this is actually a really good one. It's a good transition here. I know we talked about my avenue of reaching out to people, at least as juniors. So I talked about the 3 C's, which is your connection to the person, your context as to why you're reaching out, and basically a call to action whenever forming any sort of LinkedIn message for someone, or even in any other shape or form, even in person, which is basically just, hey, I saw that you do this, and I just graduated NSS working on something similar. That's like your contact, and then basically you're doing your context, which is, I'm reaching out because I saw your post about this and this, and I would love to learn a little more. And then your call to action is, could I set up a call with you for like 7 minutes next week and pick your brain and go from there? But it's a short, sweet little 3-section thing. It doesn't have to be super long, super quick. And we're actually seeing a huge amount of success like with that exact template. But what is your experience with that? Do you like that combo? Is there something?
I definitely do, especially the call to action. In all honesty, I think you could if you had to get rid of any part of it, it would be like hey, I see you're so-and-so.
Yep.
Like I send a lot of LinkedIn messages out. I'm sure the people that are watching this are going to be like, yeah, she does. Like, she's in my inbox.
You get out of my DMs.
Yes. Like, I send a lot of messages out. And I send a lot of emails and outreach and stuff like that. And what I've noticed, this ongoing pattern, and this kind of goes what we were talking about just on our own about short attention spans and whatnot, like get to the point.
Right.
The shorter and sweeter the message, the more likely you are to get a response. If it's too long, didn't read, someone's gonna be like, oh, this person's gonna be a drag and take up a lot of my time.
Right.
So I do think shorter and sweet messages. My number one advice for those cold outreach messages is asking for people for their opinions or advice. Like if someone sent me, hey, Ashley, I see you work at Nashville Software School. I would love your advice on what makes a junior developer stand out. First off, like a couple of things are happening here. One, somebody I don't know that's not even affiliated with Nashville Software School found my profile and shot me that message. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to be so flattered. Like, you think I have all the answers? Like, that's amazing. You think I'm the right person to go to for that? It's flattering. It is flattering when somebody asks you for your opinion or advice because it means they value it. So flattery happens. And then I'm going to give my advice. Hey, I really think that you should make sure your resume has X, Y, and Z on it. Make sure you're doing networking this way. And then they have a reason to follow up with me again and say, hey, I did what you said on the resume. What do you think? They've just like proven to me that they can get a job done. If I was on the technical side, I would just be like, this person just did a technical interview. They passed. They were able to ask for advice and they were able to have follow through. And then the last thing that really happens is I just made them take time out of their day to follow my advice. Now I got to prove that I have good advice. So whatever strings I can pull on my end to get them a
Yes.
job because I made them go out of their way with my advice, I need to prove that that was the right advice.
Right.
So if I'm working at a company that's hiring and they say, hey, does anyone know anyone? I'm going to throw your name into the hat because I need to prove that I gave good advice and you proved yourself to me. So opinions or advice. I think for juniors, asking someone to review a project for you and ask if there's any like goals or any features or any corrections that they should do is a great way to like trick someone into a technical interview because they've asked you to do something technical and you've done it.
Really good idea.
I think
That's a really good idea. Yeah, that's actually really cool.
I think someone not technical, like maybe on the HR side, asking, I would just love your advice on what can make a junior stand out for a company like so-and-so. If you get like that senior level, mid, I would say mid all the way up to hiring manager, you can really just kind of go in there as, I'd love your advice on how to best do a technical interview. Would you mind doing one with me? I would love your opinion on how I can improve. Because that's a real interview. If you can ask someone for a mock interview and they say yes, they've just agreed to a real interview. If there's a job on the other end, you have the opportunity to impress them.
That's really interesting because going back to a few things you said is, first of all, you talked about people giving it guidance and whatnot. That's a big part of that second C there, the context behind it. It's like, I'm reaching out because I saw this and I wanted to learn more about it from you. I completely agree that you could take out a lot of the fat in there. It's so funny though. You mentioned that like reaching out to a recruiter or whatever and sending a long message, which you think like, oh, this shows me being genuine. But
yeah, no,
it's so funny because almost every single person I talk to is like, all right, what do you think of this message? I'm like, I think you should completely trash that and do this. And I send them back like 2 sentences and they're like, what? Like, dude, it shows that I'm trying to be genuine in this very long ramble I'm about to send you. But really, I'm being more considerate of your time if I just send you 2 sentences. Hey, I'm struggling with this. I see you're an expert on it. I'd love if I could steal 7 minutes from you to figure out where I'm going wrong.
100%. And I think like that first initial message is something that's like, it's kind of like the bait and switch. Like you're short and concise. Look, I can get stuff done here, but then don't be afraid to elaborate more once they start responding to you.
Yes.
You just got to get them on the hook first.
It's funny you say that too, because I find a lot of people, and I actually really struggled with this when I first started too, is they're like, oh, well, what you guys are talking about is manipulation. And I completely disagree. Like it's like,
what in world isn't manipulation?
Right. And it's like even in sales, if I have a product that I genuinely believe that would benefit you, right? I'm sure there's salesmen out there that are just not very good people, but would sell you something you don't need. But if I have a product and I genuinely believe it's going to help you, I'm going to push you to sell it, even if that means using in some ways like manipulative things, because that allows for me to get you to a point where I put you in a better spot. Same thing with this job hunt and everything. You make a lot of good points there.
There is some manipulation behind it, but what form of communication isn't manipulation?
Right. Like, and these people get something from it too. Like that's what, again, it's just like the interview thing. It's just like a job. Like just because they're paying you doesn't mean they're not getting something. They are. Like for me, if I refer you, I may get a bonus. I love mentoring people. I love talking to people and giving the guidance and feeling good that like, sweet man, Joe Blow down the street just took the guidance that I gave him and now he's killing it. It feels good. It is not completely selfless. So
I 100% agree with that. I mean, that's like the best part of my job as well. And I think manipulation is like a harsh word though. I don't think it's harsh. Just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's my raise. I was raised by a salesman, so I don't think that it's a harsh term for me. But is manipulation any different than just convincing someone to do something? It's the
Right.
same thing. You're not lying. You're not acting as if you wouldn't act. You're not, you know, pretending to be something you're not. I think that's really like manipulating someone. Your reputation is on the line as well. So
I tell the people in our 90-day program, if you are reaching out to these people and your only concern here is a job, you're not going to get a job.
this is going to get us into the next topic.
Curious, be genuinely curious about who they are, what they do, what they've learned, and what they're going to tell you. I tell them to, I was like, make the whole conversation about them. They're like, but then how do I find out anything I can learn from? I'm like, even when it's about you, make it about them. They're like, that makes 0 sense, Preston. I'm like, a lot of stuff that comes out of my mouth is a bunch of crap, and that's fine, but this one's not. Is you need to, like, the best example I can give is, hey man, so you mentioned this, I'm working on this, and I'd love to know what your thoughts on it are for me to improve. Even though it's guidance for me to improve, I've still made it about them. It's about that's not a question about me. That's a question of what is your guidance to give me, right?
Yeah. I agree with that, like, wholeheartedly. That kind of goes into our next topic of how the job search really is just dating for your job. It's like we have laughed about this before, how much we both consider the job search so comparable to dating. And I always say, like, first, if you're going into every date, just like, am I going to marry this one? Is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? Like, you smell of this desperation of like, nobody wants this one. What's wrong with it? Like, you have to be genuinely curious where they grew up. You have to be genuinely curious of what their passions are, because then you'll never find out if it's a good fit for you. If you're just sitting there just being like, is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? That really shows. And there's just so many correlations between dating and the job search. And I mean, you could make the correlations for days. I mean, it really.
I compare in every single way except for one. But every other aspect of it, I've yet to find one that it doesn't. The only one that I don't think you should do is following up. Like, if you're not matching my energy on it, then, I'm walking, right, in terms of dating. But in the job hunt, like, no, like, you should totally be following up. In fact, there was, again, the same guy that it took a while for him to get a job that we were talking about earlier. He told me that he didn't want to follow up with companies once a week. He did not want to email them once a week after he had gone through the first interview and they were like, we don't have an open position, or no, or whatever it is. I was like, no, you should be following up. And he would not do it. I said, dude, for 2 months, I need you to, like, take my word as the Bible and just run with it. Blind faith with me. Please do that. And if 2 months we don't have your job, I promise you, I'll never mention it again. He's like, all right, let's do it. He started emailing his companies once a week. And the first thing they said when he got to the interview that led to his job was, geez, man, you were really persistent on emails, but we actually really appreciated you staying on top of it. So it got him the job. It genuinely got him, because you know what? As soon as something came open, they go, oh, this dude wants it. He obviously wants it.
Yeah, no, companies actually appreciate that. Being on the recruiting side of things, I can tell you right now that some of the time that people aren't getting back to you, they're just busy and they're like, I've got to deal with this tomorrow. I've got to deal with this tomorrow. So, like, those reminders are actually helpful and not hurtful. Now, if you're messaging someone every day and then calling their office, like, if it's giving, like, I need to put an order of protection vibes, okay, that's too much. But once a week, my thought process is, if you've had an interview, you have every right to get follow-up. Now, if you've just applied to someone and you're messaging every single week, that's a bit much. But if you had made contact with someone, had a first round interview, it is in your right to message them once a week to get feedback or figure out what's up.
100%. 100%. It's almost comical to me how timid people are about it. And they're just like, oh, I don't want to be annoying. I'm like, dude, like, it shows that you want it. It shows that you really want it. It shows that you're consistent. This dude has consistently emailed me every week. It shows that you communicate. It shows that I can get on a list. I mean, it just shows so many things, and the fact that they are so busy. The recruiting guy at my company, I think he said they get like every single month we grab coffee, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, this month it was like 450 people, and then
Mm.
the next month he's like, yeah, it's 500 people applied, and then the next month it's like five. It's going up pretty fast too. It's just so many. There's no way that guy is going to remember you unless you
Yeah.
are making a genuine connection. No way. It's not going to happen.
This is, you said something that kind of hit home for me, which is somebody's thinking, oh, I don't want to be annoying. I hear that all the
Yes.
time. I don't know if I was just born annoying by nature. I'm sure a lot of people would say yes. um, but is this not the most important time for you to be selfish? Like,
Yes.
who cares if you're annoying? Who cares if you inconvenience someone with a message at this? If that could be the difference between somebody forgetting you and remembering you. I get that all the time with networking, like, oh, I don't want to bother anyone, or I don't want to come across, annoying, just like asking them for advice. They might be busy at work. Who cares? If they're busy, they won't respond. Like, who cares? This is the time for you to be selfish in your job search. First off, if people think you're annoying for just being curious, they're not your people.
Yes.
If they are excited about your passion, you're gonna have better luck finding like your kind of people. I probably come across like so bubbly, so extroverted. I promise y'all, I'm the most introverted person ever. Like, I will sometimes go weeks without leaving the house and not even realize it. I'm like, oops, oops, I haven't left the house this week. I hate talking to strangers. It truly makes me so nervous, but I'm really good at it. I don't mind it. Like, even though something is hard for you and maybe not doesn't come naturally, doesn't mean that you can't hone the skills in to do it well. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm really good at it. I mean, I do want to like shout out to my dad, who really is like the best salesman ever and taught me everything he knows. And I think the biggest like lesson that I learned from him, I mean, he would tell this to me when I was little, and it was, if you don't ask, you won't get it. Like, if I was at a McDonald's and I wanted an extra sauce on the side, he would be like, go ask. They might say yes. They might not charge you the 50 cents. I had to go up and ask myself. And so even something, it might not feel natural. You're leaving stuff on the table if you're just not asking.
I love that you said that. We do have a lot of people that come through the 90-day program that I would say are very introverted.
Yeah.
And in that, they are so nervous about sending their first message on LinkedIn, and even more nervous when they get them on the phone. They're like, this is going to go horrible. Like, I have seen them spiral firsthand. And it's like,
yeah,
like, dude, like, it's okay. Like, even if this dude calls you garbage and hangs up, like, you're going to be okay. They're like, I don't know, man. I don't know how I'm going to make it through this one. And they get off and they're like, oh, that was actually really cool.
That
like,
wasn't that bad.
Like, if they're willing to hop on the phone with you, it's not going to be that bad. But
yeah,
I mean, maybe it will. I don't know. But the point in that is not, oh, like, it's not gonna be as scary. But once we've gotten these people who are incredibly introverted to get the ball rolling and to start actually talking to people, just have like a little template of like, here's how I'm gonna send this to people. Here's how these messages are structured. And here's like a more positive way to get, here's a more consistent way to get a positive result.
yeah.
We find them like addicted to, almost like, I mean, it's just,
It is.
and it's cool too, because we don't have an exact number on this right now because we just swapped some things up in terms of how we were reaching out. And some of this is from what you and me talked about in terms of how you make your connections on LinkedIn. But I mean, the average person is, I think the average person messaging on LinkedIn gets about a 10 to 15% like reply rate, give or take.
It's actually about a 20% rate.
Is it 20? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were getting about 20 to 25 in the program.
Yeah.
We're seeing over 50 now. And so, and again, that's only after the last week of them. They spammed a ton and then they came back and they got over 50%, which
Yeah.
is just absurd to me. But now the problem we're having is it's not, oh, I can't get people to reach out, or oh, I can't do it. Now they're like, I have no idea how to juggle all of these conversations, which is such a good problem to have.
Yes.
I'm like, nice.
Love that problem.
So yeah.
You love that problem. But I do think that for somebody, who has that like people pleasing mindset, I'm annoying, blah blah blah, like that mindset. Um I've learned that the more people that you reach out to, one, the easier it becomes. Once you have one conversation, realize it's not that bad, so on and so forth. But also, if I reached out to 10 people in 1 week and only 2 people get back to me, I'm like, 8 people just hated me. I was so obnoxious to them, they didn't want to respond. If I send 50 messages in 1 week and 10 people get back to me, I'm like, hell yeah, 10 people got back to me. I had 10 great conversations. I care less about the people who don't get back to me. And I also don't even think you should care about who doesn't get back to you. Every response is a win. And if you can switch your mindset in the job search to celebrate like those small wins, like a response to a LinkedIn message, getting on the phone with somebody, that's what excites me. I don't, like I said, I'm not excited about reaching out to a stranger, but when I catch a big fish, when I get in contact with someone who I couldn't get in contact with before, like that's the exciting part. That's the part that can become addicting, whether you're introverted or not, because it's like an accomplishment. Like it's an immediate gratification. And shifting your mindset in a job search to focus on those wins, because if you're just like, I applied to all these companies and like then your resume is in Jabep. You have no control, you have no power, you have nothing that's going to make you feel connected to your job search. It's isolating, it's lonely, and you have no power. But the more power you can steal back in these little wins can help. Because I mean, depression is big in a job search.
Oh, 100%.
Really,
100. In fact, I love that you said there's 2 points I want to touch on there that you just said, because you nailed it right on the head. First of all, going back to the dating analogy, if you're on the dating apps and you swipe right on one person you match and they either don't reply or you go on a date and then they just stop talking to you, you're going to be crushed because you didn't continue to try and actually meet people. Like, you should keep the funnel going just like you are in your job hunt, just like you're on the dating apps. Like, don't swipe on 5 people and go, all right, one of those is going to be my wife. Like, that's just not at all how that works. And then the other thing that you said was the depression. And when I first started the 90-day program with Code Campfire, I reached out to everybody that I had helped in their job search, and they all said about the same thing, but there's one guy who nailed it right on the head in 3 points. He said, let me think about it and get back to you. And what he came back with was, number one, it was no longer about me letting myself down. It was about letting you down, because you were helping me. We're talking like every other day. If I stopped, it was about letting you down. It no longer became about me. Number two, I was no longer alone. I had somebody else. And towards the end of it, I brought other people in who were also trying to get a job. And so the fact that he had somebody that was on the same level as well as above him, it just made for a much better atmosphere of other people going through the same thing. And the last thing was having structure to it. Because if you don't know anything about the job hunt, it is rough. It is really rough. So, and again, that's why we're seeing these people that are super introverted in the 90-day program who are just really, really into it now. They love it. And even though they're super introverted and never wanted to reach out to anybody, they're like, oh yeah, I'm talking to like 20 people a week. So yeah, it's awesome. It's super cool to me. But that right there, those 3 points is the connection to others, someone to, I guess you could really boil it down to 2, somebody to kind of lead and or give structure, as well as having other people around you that are doing the same thing and struggling through it with you, just helps immensely. But if you don't have people around you, it is so lonely. It is so depressing.
It is. But I even think like going through the job search with other people that are going to the job search, I always like relate this to, like, I had a love-hate working in the restaurant industry. But what I loved the most was like you could show up to work and just be like, today really sucks, everyone. Like, my customer chewed me out. And like you can go in the back room and just like high five and laugh about it. Like, there's camaraderie in the misery, and it almost makes the misery fun.
Yes.
And I think you can have that in the job search of just like laughing about how hard things are sometimes, and having people to do that with you it's uplifting. I know it sounds crazy to laugh about like how crappy things can be, but I swear it's helpful. It can get you out of a funk. It reminds you that you're not alone. Like, everyone starts to be like, oh, well, like there's something wrong with my resume. There's something wrong with my background. I must not be enough. And then you're like, oh God, no, everybody's not enough. We're fine.
Yeah, no, we all have that.
100%.
It's funny you say that because I like for the longest time I really struggled to sit down and like really finish a project on my own. And my business partner Alex and I were working on these things. We had things called death sprints where we would work for like 15 hours a day for like 2 weeks straight. And it was horrible. Like our health, like physical and mental health eventually would definitely be towards the bottom at the end of the 2 weeks or whatever. But we'd always get the job done. It was great. But I asked myself one day, I was like, what changed that allowed me to focus like that? And the only thing that changed was I had somebody do it with me.
Yeah.
Somebody else who was doing the crap with me. And there's time I can't even tell you how many times we hopped on a call together and we're like, oh yeah, it's like I did this, but now I have all of this. And I was like, dude, that sucks. Like your life sucks. Like just laughing at each other and with each other. Oh, it helps so much. It
Like, I mean, in our nature, it's the mirroring aspect. Like, I know they definitely use this analogy a lot with like diverse people. It definitely works for me. Of like, I can't organize my closet, but if somebody's sitting in the room with me while I organize my closet, I can get it done. It's the same concept. Like, we are not meant to be isolated. Like, that is not humans in nature. We are meant to be around other people. So finding tasks that you can do together just it makes for a better outcome.
Yeah, 100%. No, thank you for your time here. Like this was super cool. Other than, don't do it alone and find some sort of structure and start talking to people, stop applying type of thing. Like what guidance would you?
Network, talk to whoever you can and be excited about who you're talking to. When you're talking to people, whether it leads to a job or not, know you are getting something out of it. You're getting genuine information. You're getting real life advice, and there is value in that. So if you can see the value in that, you'll be a lot happier.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.